All right, this gonna feel good. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see who up in here early. All right. All right. All right. Fine time. Let me see what y'all talking about in this chat room. Let me see. I was in G&T in elementary school, enriched an AP club. I have no idea what you even said. Y'all got to call that in. I have no idea what said. I have no idea what y'all talking about. I'm talking about a specific program at school in America. Of course, I have no idea anywhere else. What I'm saying, you went to program school, and you knew about a gateway program or something of the sort. KevRow University is good to be in my chair today. But yeah, I'm trying to get a consensus on that and and all the above because as I put in reconstruct history, time, and all that into perspective, my personal life, I know because I talk to people in real life. Other people have had some crazy experiences in the world where it's like, what happened here, 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 and here? That that is like a total mystery. And I'm one of the few people who I know that can articulate their experiences the way that I do. You feel what I'm saying? Talking about the Gates program, well, in a sense, yeah, because I found the crazy connection, not just to my in my personal life, but I think that's connected to a lot of people that deals with my walk in this life. So I'm like, oh, a new heightened mindset, a new perspective, heightened though, just and what an adventure I'm on. So, am I talking about the GATE program? I'm talking about yeah, the Gates program. Was you around in the 70s, 80s, 90s or something when putting these programs where these tests was done on the students, specifically 80s babies. Where y'all at? Specifically 80s baby because that's when the GATE program was established. Press one kind of reminds me of the Terminator movie. All that happened in 1980 where they just gotta do some things around this time. You know, destroyed the nuclear family by way of you know the story. So I was trying to find correlation between, but then there's science, and science is like chemistry, science, drugs, crack, you know, Universe 25. A lot of these drugs, like crack, cocaine, LSD, was developed at this time and released to the public in the 80s, but they were developed at your top universities, especially in California. Press one. So there's the GATE program where the students at school, press one, is put through major tests and secret things. I don't know. Uh, tests at school. I watched a video somebody sent me, and I'm gonna play it here. But yeah, the '80s was kind of like whoa. I want to play this video because it kind of made me come alive when thinking about these things. I've been telling y'all, like especially yesterday, science is their hidden language. MK Mind Control is the name of the game, baby. And psychedelics and getting you to believe these things to go against. Remember, the third and fourth generations who hate me. Well, they got to be raised the specific type of way to usher in artificial intelligence and all that, to be accessible to it, okay with it. They got to be started off early. So I'm going to play this tape. I think we've been viewing school and all this shit wrong. I've been this came across my feed and I said, let me play this for my classroom so they can get an understanding.
The case, please listen to what I have to say because I had a flood of memories come. Were you in the gifted and talented program as a child? Some people called it GATE, some people called it GT. There's actually a lot of different names depending on where you live in America. But do you remember being selected in elementary or middle school for some sort of accelerated learning program and being taken out of class and brought into other rooms with a smaller group of children? And do you have an extremely hard time remembering that? And if that's the case, please listen to what I have to say because I had a flood of memories come back to me after overhearing another person talk about this colored string test where we had to undo this tangled up colorful string. And through that and talking about it last night in another video, I have been flooded with comments and people reaching out to me telling me their stories and sharing other things that have unlocked even more memories for me. So we're going to go down the list of things that I wrote down and see if this unlocks any more memories for you. Obviously, the first one is the tangled up colorful string where we had to undo it. Some people said it was on like a board. Other people had to do it mentally. And some people were just given this wad of colorful kind of yarn stuff and had to untangle it to the best of their ability. A lot of people remembered flashcards or memory games or speed reading. Actually, a big one for me was these tangrams, these weird little colorful shape block things. As soon as I saw a photo of that, because I saw a lot of people in the comments referencing it, I didn't know what it was. And I Googled a photo of it, and dear God, did I have a flashback of just countless hours of having to do tests and games with these tangram things. Another super popular one is the auditory testing with these weird retro headphones, these like big gray greenish headphones. Some people reported them being connected to this like weird briefcase thing, and I specifically remember having to listen to these weird frequencies, these weird tones, and being tested on what I heard in the tones. And then another person mentioned having to listen to the story being played to them through these headphones. And there was this little clicker device, and you'd have to click a button every time you heard certain words or certain elements of a story. Very vivid memories from that. Continuing with our retro technology theme, do you remember having to use super old computers and having to play weird games and do weird tests? And I feel like even one of them was Oregon Trail. I remember something along those lines. That was a huge part of this GATE program curriculum. Another very common one for people was having to build things out of random objects like toothpicks, popsicle sticks. For me, I specifically remember having to make things out of construction paper. One that I saw a couple of people mention but really struck home with me in a deep level that makes me feel uncomfortable. Do you remember having to wear weirdly colored or tinted glasses of some sort? Like, I'm talking about like the old 3D movie glasses. That, I don't know why, feels so familiar to me. Now we're going to start getting even weirder. Do you guys remember having to go to very small, weird rooms where the windows were completely covered up, or there were no windows at all, or being completely removed from school, taken off campus? I distinctly remember doing a lot of this program in a trailer with the windows covered up, which, as you can imagine, is not exactly very comforting. And speaking of being taken off campus, off school grounds, do you remember weird field trips, having to go very, very long distances, being taken to weird things? People reported being taken to local businesses and talking with some of the
That's crazy because that's like the story of y'all lives, right?
heads of companies. Some people report going to military bases or very oddly specific aquariums and planetariums. Now, for me, planetariums definitely struck a chord. And last but not least, do you remember having to drink some sort of weird liquid out of a little Dixie cup? I'm talking about reddish, pinkish, purplish. People describe it as different colors, but I distinctly remember having the experience of having to drink this weird liquid out of a cup. Some people reported having to take these tabs, and a lot of people report thinking that it was some sort of dental test or some sort of fluoride test. That might be the case. I don't know. I am just trying to explore all of these different experiences because of the fact that we have no memories. We have no distinct chronological idea of what actually happened to us in these accelerated, gifted classes. We're going to go through a little experiment together.
But I don't know if this affects you. I don't know if you've heard of this before. I just want my classroom to listen to it.
Over the last couple of nights, I put a few videos out trying to help people remember exactly what the activities were in those programs. And shockingly, thousands of people have reached out through comments and DMs saying that, yes, they now remember upon hearing my video those activities. So I've put together a list of weird character traits that most people in the GATE program, gifted, talented, tag, whatever you want to call it, most people have a few of these traits. Not all of them, not saying that you will have.
Now, I just want people to remember these things. Like you can do your research on this and GATE program. I didn't know it was like people was thinking about it at various levels. I like to overthink and overthink. I didn't say my brain just does it. I said I like to do it. And I realized that a lot of these things that people are bringing up,
If you're seeing this right now, you may have been
a lot of white folk. I told y'all yesterday, where did we learn the the whole solar system? At school. Never mind me going to 2 elementary schools, 2 junior high schools, and all of this. That's just some weird shit. What's important is we learned all this at school. Forrest Glory brought up yesterday some important stuff. It's about being taken off campus to a trailer or some shit. You know what I'm saying? And I want more people, if they remember these things, from the GATE program, especially public schooling, but if they remember these things.
in a gifted and talented program as a child in school, and how the TikTok algorithm knows this about you, I do not know. But if you have a hard time remembering what happened to you in that program, I want to show you something that might jog some memories. Does this next voice sound familiar to you?
This is the exercise for your own development process designed by you. You should be hearing my voice in your right ear.
What I just shared with you is not a hearing test.
That's crazy. Because that's crazy.
Which is likely what they told you it was.
And listening to it, a nigga like, hold up.
What they told you it was.
You should be hearing my voice in your right ear.
What I just shared with you is not a hearing test, which is likely what they told you it was during those sessions. That clip is taken directly from a hypnosis tape by Robert Monroe called The Gateway Process.
Press one. Uh-oh. Oh, say what? See, I know that because that's the process which destroyed our families. Press one. See, I know that. See, that's universe 25. That's the hypnotic They clone Tyrone in Universe 25. You're not telling me. Press one. See? You see? I knew it. I said, God, please just give me the right words. I'm just trying to tell you all my prayers before. Just give me the right words today. This shit got my heart beating real hard because I'm like, the gate program, huh? The gateway process by the hypnosis. What? Not the drug induced coma. Not the headphones Ice Cube is wearing on the little, never mind, bars.
And it is designed to elicit astral projection and remote viewing sessions.
Ham. Say it with me. Ham. Somebody look at their neighbor. Hey, Ollie, I love you, champ. Tell him, Ollie, that boy Kev don't solve the anti-life equation, bro. I got it, Ollie. Ham. You got it? Headphones, sound. Dun, dun. We be clubbing. Everybody, that's cool. You can rap on it, but what's them sounds? One and then boom, 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 boom. What is this one? What is that sound? What is going on? Induced coma. Ham. Makes sense. Okay.
Process, and it is designed
When they're talking about the gateway process, yeah, you went through it at school, and we can relate on many levels. But remember this, y'all went off and became leaders and officers and lawyers and the controllers of it. What about the ones that was left behind with the same info? You got me?
to elicit astral projection and remote viewing sessions. This may not be for everyone, but a portion of these gifted and talented education programs were actually used as a covert government program to experiment and explore psychic phenomenon in children.
Do you see it? In minors. Let's get back to it.
When you were being administered this hearing test, do you remember seeing the sounds? Do you remember having any sort of visualization with your eyes closed when hearing those different beeps and tones? Specifically, do you remember ever seeing a red dot in the black of your eyes when you were listening to it? Do you remember being taken to a supply closet as part of the program? Maybe it was a janitor's closet, or maybe it was some sort of room in the back of a science lab. Maybe even you needed a key card to access it. This next one is more broadly about your childhood. Do you have distinct memories of being able to breathe underwater in a dream or otherwise? Do you experience the Mandela effect or weird shifts in your timeline, things that you cannot explain or justify? I know that these questions are seemingly random and weird, but this is something that I have personally dealt with, and I have also weirdly seen reflected in the comments from other people who also went through the GATE program. And I'm just trying to explore all of the different commonalities that you and I might have to try and get a bigger picture of just exactly what happened and why in these gifted and talented programs. Is one of the things that sticks out in your memory of this class being forced at the beginning to take a drink of a medication in a little paper cup. Some people report it being brightly colored, pink, purple, orange, and a lot of people report it having a chalky texture. It was explained to you that this was a simple fluoride treatment that all children had to do, and you were heavily coerced into drinking it. But there are thousands of us who have little to no memories of what happened in those classes beyond the point of drinking it. So what actually was in those cups? I've narrowed it down to two interesting theories, but I want to emphasize that this is just a fun, speculative theory for entertainment purposes only. The first substance that immediately caught my attention while researching this topic is something commonly referred to as BCAA. BZ. Not only was this chemical researched heavily by the US military during the same exact time that these gifted and talented programs were being formed across the country, but it was known for two very specific properties. The first is its hallucinogenic qualities, and the second is its ability to block new memories from being formed.
Wow. A drug that can do that.
This medication can be ground up into a fine powder and mixed with a liquid to be given orally, but due to its insolubility, it would also create a sort of chalky texture like the one that we remember while drinking this pink drink. The biggest problem that I have with BZ, and what leads me to believe that my second theory is more accurate, is that this medication can last up to 96 hours, which would not be conducive to a GATE program within the confines of school hours and would raise suspicion in parents if their children were coming home still dazed and confused. The medication that I think was most likely being used on us is something called scopolamine, which is a medication you may have heard before because it is used in all sorts of applications throughout healthcare. It has the same exact ability as BZ to block new memory formation while also increasing suggestibility in the patient. Mixing it with a liquid would also produce the same.
So you can suggest things like whisper in their ears and this one and that one while the patient is. You can play the serpent in their life. It's a mind control. Do you see? It's a handler's heaven.
Same chalky texture, and given in the right doses, you could time it so that it wears off right as the school day is ending. As far as the bright colors and distinct flavors like bubblegum that people remember, I think that these were added to it as a sort of psychological manipulation to make it more appealing to children and for us to be less likely to talk about it outside of school. Once again, these are just speculative theories. I could be totally wrong with this, but the fact that so many of us only remember this pink drink and then our memories go completely blank leads me to believe that this may have been the cause of our amnesia. Were you in a
Didn't I just say gods of amnesia?
gifted and talented education program as a child?
Amnesia or euthanasia?
And in adulthood had a weirdly easy time with law enforcement. Maybe you were in a situation where you should have gotten in trouble. You were doing something illegal, and on paper, by all means, you should have been arrested. But somehow you skated through without a problem. If that is you, you are not alone. And that is admittedly one of the less weird characteristics that a lot of people in the GATE program share, but the reason behind it fascinates me. I've seen a lot of people speculate that because we went through this program, we are all in some sort of database or on a watch list, which I'm not doubting, but the problem I have with assuming that this is the mechanism by which the cops go easy on us is if we are correct in assuming that the gifted and talented program was at least a portion part of some government experiment, it would have to be kept incredibly compartmentalized and hidden. And by having some sort of national database that every single local law enforcement can tap into would ruin the covertness of the program. So I have another theory. This is total speculation, but what if the reason that you were selected for the GATE program in the first place is because of your pattern recognition, your intuition, your ability to
Yeah. Your intuition. So, Benjamin, you're saying all of these things, right? This is a hunt for the brilliant. The very. This is for them. You telling me you was in this program, Mr. Breathing Underwater? Mr. You remember breathing underwater? Because you type it a lot. I'm going to ask you a question. Be ready. You telling me you psychic or something?
show empathy. And because for the GATE program in the first place is because of your pattern recognition, your intuition, your ability to show empathy. And because of that, you were able to navigate these difficult situations in a much smoother way. I'm not saying we're all some sort of telepathic superhero, but I am suggesting that maybe in the face of fear, in a high pressure situation where you feel your back is up against the wall, it is a little bit easier to tap into those gifts or abilities. And that could explain why why some of us have had a very easy time dealing with police in situations where we should have been screwed. If you do even
Now
a
we talking hypnosis here.
surface level of digging in almost any aspect of this program, you will find very weird things that don't make sense logically. I'm going to show you 2 quick examples that right away lead to very weird things and a few questions that you might have. And I'm not even going to be digging deep or using weird, obscure sources. We're going right off of Wikipedia. One of the biggest pushbacks I get on this whole topic is that it was just about intelligence. It was just about high IQs and trying to cultivate some sort of advanced education program in these kids who exhibited these things. If you start to dig into intelligence itself and the standardized testing methods, you will automatically start having questions. One of the most common IQ tests that people reported being screened with to enter into these GATE gifted and talented programs was the Stanford-Binet IQ scale. If you look into the man originally behind this IQ scale, Alfred Binet, you will find that his mentor was a man named Jean-Martin Charcot. I think I'm pronouncing that right. So what was their area of expertise that eventually led Binet to developing an intelligence scale? Well, if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll find that at the time of Binet's tenure, Charcot was experimenting with hypnotism. So quick recap, one of the main intelligence tests that was used to screen children to get them into the GATE program has roots in hypnotism. The second area where just a surface level of digging will yield very interesting results is who exactly created the Association of Gifted and Talented Children in the first place. Full credit goes to another TikToker who tagged me in a video, but she turned off her comment, so I don't really know how involved she wants to be in this. The man credited with starting all of this is a doctor named John Curtis Gowan. And once again, just a quick scroll on his Wikipedia page and you will read this. Besides his work in educational psychology as specifically related to gifted children, he also had an interest in psychic or psychedelic phenomena. I'm not saying that any of this is some magical smoking gun that proves that the gifted and talented education programs were actually backed by the government, by the CIA, and some sort of psychic experimentation on children. But it certainly doesn't help me disprove that theory.
Well said. Well said. So I've been thinking, because this touched on a lot of things dealing with what we talk about here as far as the intelligence communities in this same time period, just so happened, the same time period. And 10 years prior, doing the tests and studies to develop such mind control tactics on multiple levels. I'm saying 3, but it's multiple levels dealing with, well, all senses of the reality: touch, sight, hearing, so forth and so on. It's evident that people were in these types of programs. I'm not sure how inclusive you personally was in each of these things, because people are throwing things out. Oh, I'm swimming in the water and I can breathe underwater, or I don't know. What I can say is I said it yesterday, and I say it today. The gate to the gateway. Press 1. See? The gate to the gateway. Now, if we're just talking that type of stuff, I just mentioned Charleston White yesterday and just laughed. I didn't even want to say nothing. I just said Charleston White. Today, he on the stand. All through the algorithm. So that's what I'm asking Benjamin. I don't know why he getting quiet I don't know why y'all get so quiet when I start. Because that's what you in school for, to learn, right? Now, you didn't say too much in history. People ain't said too much, but I would figure since we all went to school, we all went through some form and seen this activity somewhere down the line. I don't know if you have or you haven't. If you have, press 1. If you haven't, just bypass. But don't leave me up here to talk to myself. I could do this offline. This is real. So I have a huge gap in memory loss when it's dealing with a specific time in my life. So this is quite the experience and adventure, and quite the things that I like to study myself and talk about from a psychological standpoint and being logical. You know, because I know the CIA did the they were responsible for the what you see on the screen, how to hypnotize a person. Press one. See, in my perspective, it's how to get a person to believe he's the god of his own universe, because it's a cultic practice. It's a cultic alchemy. How to using sounds, colors, feelings, and emotion. How to get you to believe in science. I mean, you got to see it in your mind, right? And what you see is what you believe, right? So you got to play sound in the mind. You got to play music in the mind, frequency, beat, tone, things of that nature. 10 years before the gay program, they was doing studies and tests um, all over the place. But one of the things they were doing, talking about the gateway process, is psychic driving. So when they talking about they had school and they went through this test, and okay, you went through psychic driving, which is what? A process in ham. Press one. When young Pharaoh said he astral project and his came out his body and his holographic, ham. Okay, but all of that is given to you by the CIA. I mean, they gotta admit it, because eventually somebody gonna tell it, right?
In 1957, the CIA begins funding the work of Canadian psychiatrist Dr. Ewan Cameron after reading about his new and radical brand of psychotherapy.
You would basically put somebody to sleep with drugs for many, many, many days, give them massive doses of electric shock therapy, literally hundreds of times the normal dosage.
You know what electroshock is? Sound frequency in the brain, in the mind. Hours and hours and hours and hours of music.
And basically you would reduce the person literally to a vegetable, and basically put somebody to sleep with drugs for many, many, many days, give them massive doses of electric shock therapy, literally hundreds of times the normal dosage. And basically you would reduce the person literally to a vegetable. And the idea clinically was you would wipe out either delusions or depression or psychiatric symptoms, and then when the person came back to their normal self, which would take months and months and months, the psychiatric symptoms would be gone.
What if they never came back and got you? I'll replay that.
And the idea clinically, literally hundreds of times the normal dosage. And basically you would reduce the person literally to a vegetable. And the idea clinically was you would wipe out either delusions or depression or psychiatric symptoms, and then when the person came back to their normal self, which would take months and months and months, the psychiatric symptoms would be gone.
Okay. That's exactly what I meant by Universe 25. Nearly Fuller and how niggas is programmed. You got it? What if they never came back and got you? What if they left you there? Hit that like button and subscribe.
This kind of clinically induced amnesia is of special interest to
What? Amnesia.
the CIA. Dr. Cameron agrees
The CIA need this. Why? Because they're going to do this to African Americans and leave them there.
This kind of clinically induced amnesia is of special interest to the CIA. Dr. Cameron agrees to take his treatment one step further. In addition to de-patterning his client, he would attempt to re-pattern in new thoughts and behaviors.
The CIA funded this experiment because if you could take a person who was an enemy agent, erase that personality and put in a new personality, you have a convert.
At the CIA's instigation, Cameron devises a three-step brainwashing experiment.
The three parts consisted of, first, what he called de-patterning, which was the use of LSD and intensive electroshocks. So that's phase one, is wiping the slate clean. Second was trying to program in new patterns of behavior by playing tape-recorded messages hundreds and hundreds of thousands of times. The final phase was a 2 to 3 week period where Cameron would put patients to sleep using barbiturates to try to suppress any recollection of what...
Wow. Do you understand the science behind it, Ali? Just like they had to put people underground on their clone Tyrone. Exactly. You see it? Exactly. Okay, so in the hoods, the science of it was to do what? By the end of this year, you will know the who, what, where, when, and why. What was used? What science was used? And guess who the victim is? You are. You are. So you're the best people to ask these questions to. And then what happened? And then what happened? And unless you've been through this programming at Universe 25 of the Gate and the Gateway program, you grew up in the 80s with traumatizing authoritative Hitlers as parents, infusing the dosage of trauma that will cause you amnesia. Press 1. So it's not just at school. This is a worldwide gate. What do they call the gateway drug? Remember? This is a worldwide universal project. Okay? And they were studying this and paying and funding genetics or whoever these people are in Canada and foreign lands to come up and do as much testing as they could to create niggas. Now let's listen one more again.
In 1957, the CIA begins funding the work of Canadian psychiatrist Dr. Ewan Cameron after reading about his new and radical brand of psychotherapy.
You would basically put somebody to sleep with drugs for many, many, many days, give them massive doses of electric shock therapy, literally hundreds of times the normal dosage, and basically you would reduce the person literally to a vegetable. And the idea clinically was you would wipe out either delusions or depression or psychiatric symptoms, and then when the person came back to their normal self, which would take months and months and months.
So you can wipe out an innocent child. You hear me? You can wipe the memories of any innocence with sound waves, drugs, music. Well, that's sound wave. Press 1. Inferiority. You can create a sleeper cell. Hell, you can create a gangbanger. Shit, you can create 2 gangbangers and make them hate each other. Because they forgot that when it was just a few years ago, it was all cousins and brothers and sisters. They wipe you clean and they didn't bring you back with a manly or masculine approach, a disciplined approach, or godly approach to life. No, they brought you back as a thug, as a gangbanger, as a criminal. an outlaw, outcast.
In 1957, the CIA begins funding the work of Canadian psychiatrist Dr. Ewan Cameron after reading about his new and radical brand of psychotherapy.
You would basically put somebody to sleep with drugs for many, many, many days, give them massive doses of electric shock therapy, literally hundreds of times the normal dosage, and basically you would reduce the person literally to a vegetable. And the idea clinically was you would wipe out either delusions or depression or psychiatric symptoms, and then when the person came back to their normal self, which would take months and months and months, the psychiatric symptoms would be gone.
This kind of clinically induced amnesia is of special interest to the CIA. Dr. Cameron agrees to take his treatment one step further. In addition to de-patterning his client, he would attempt to re-pattern in new thoughts and behaviors.
The CIA funded this experiment because if you could take a person who was an enemy agent, erase that personality and put in a new personality,
I told you.
you have a convert. A convert.
You have
At
a
the CIA
convert.
At the CIA's instigation, Cameron devises a three-step brainwashing experiment.
The three parts consisted of, first, what he called de-patterning, which was the use of LSD and intensive electroshocks.
Okay. LSD is drugs, mushrooms, abominable fluid, embalming fluid. Press 1. That's that drink. That will wipe your brain. You won't remember nothing tomorrow. Well, 3 days, 5 days, because that shit, it lasts forever. Big Eye Ali gives you monkey mind. Stars, planets, everything I told you, right? Right? Here it is, right here. This is where the gate program and the mind manipulation they did to us children, this is where this shit came from.
So that's phase one, is wiping the slate clean. Second was trying to program in new patterns of behavior by playing tape-recorded messages hundreds and hundreds of thousands of times. The final phase was a 2 to 3 week period where Cameron would put patients to sleep using barbiturates to try to suppress any recollection of what had been done to them.
Make sense? So where's your memory? This is what happened in Universe 25. This is all I've been trying to say the whole time. Is try to get to a point to understanding the black genocide, the 13th and 14th Amendment, the hypnotic, zombie-like state, dead state these people are in. What it took for these people to put us in this state. To where Ham is affiliated with your culture in black deaf music, and that's black and bliggity black, and that's your and that's who you are. And besides that, you's a slave that came from Africa. Here, smoke this. Hit this. Expand your mind, Craig. Press 1. Time immemorial. You see young Pharaoh? You see these brothers out here talking about them chakras and this one and that one and this one and that one. Those are the teaching of that concept. It's all CIA. It's not real. See? This is CIA documents called the what project?
Everything
The gateway process.
around you isn't real in the way you imagine. What if instead reality is just a projection, an illusion shaped by your own mind? Imagine for a moment that the world we live in is like a hologram, something that isn't fixed or unchangeable, but a constant energetic movement interconnected with us in ways we can't see, but we can feel. This idea, far from being just a concept,
Are you dumb? Wake your dumb ass up. They put crack and drugs in your community to kill you. And you gonna think that's real? No, that's what the drug wants you to think. That you see blue and yellow, purple hills. And that none of it's real. None of it. It was all just one big holographic ass whooping. White people did. And Aryans. And taking over. And causing the great migration of all of our people. No. We passed that. Yeah, people flying to Pluto now. Girl, we got Teslas in space centers in the moon. That's not real. That's the world's delusion, illusion for a synthetic feeling that they doing something. And you know it's not real. If you don't know, get off of the LSD, but you can't.
is beginning to gain visibility in modern science. Reality, as we know it, may be a dynamic energetic projection, formed and modified by the frequencies that our mind emits. Every thought, every emotion is like a wave spreading across the universe.
So now you in the CIA's religion? Fuck it. Because y'all believe the same thing, right? Just fuck it. Why don't y'all just press one? You get what I'm saying? It's the same thing. That's what they all in the CIA's religion just openly like, oh shit. They declassified it. No, nigga, they gave it to you. You got ham. You got Loki brain.
This is one of the most interesting reads I've come across. It's rather complex and takes a while to digest, but it's 100% worth it. It's an official declassified CIA document, and a terrific analysis of consciousness and beyond, known as the Gateway Process. While it's an older document and has been declassified for a while now,
They don't want to say they did this to you at school. They don't want to say that.
Modern developments in science, quantum physics, psychedelics, and neurobiology confirm what's written within those pages is
Alchemy. That's what it is. Alchemy and Antichrist science. See? Easy.
nothing short of outstanding. It explains consciousness in a profound and analytical way and
Wow. Because the CIA is good people who just want to declassify great things.
merges knowledge from mystics from Hindu,
Told you. So let's read it again. Turns out they got it from where? Mystics and Hindus.
Buddhists, and neurobiology.
Look, everything we've been looking for. Right here on the screen. See? This is what they brought you into in Universe 25 and made their alchemical practices your spiritual belief system. But let's continue on.
Biology confirm what's written within those pages is nothing short of outstanding.
Tower of Babylon, the Tower of Babel, Nimrod. You guys are not backyardigans. You guys are Nimrodians.
It explains consciousness in a profound and analytical way and merges knowledge from mystics from Hindu, Buddhist, and
Look at Sputnik. This is called time and space historical fact manipulation.
Tibetan cultures to contemporary scientific knowledge.
Look at Albert Einstein right there. Antichrist looking at. Press one. And they supposed to be good people in your history, but it's all, oh my goodness.
Planck distance, Einstein's theory of relativity, and the works of Niels Bohr. The cosmic spiral and torus is everything, and everything is one. It seems as though individual consciousness
They needed to teach you that. That's why you believed it.
is pulled from the collective consciousness using the frequency vibrations of the being. This applies to humans, whales, fungus, and amoeba. Mystics of past and present, including all ancient religions, understood these concepts thousands of years ago.
Yeah, in Babylon.
Still, it takes much to open the minds of the most pragmatic, self-conscious, and uptight people.
This is the first step along your path to a gateway. A gateway beyond which is discovery. Your own discovery of reality.
Huh? Here, they got us, didn't they, y'all? They got us, bro. They got us.
Of truth. Of who and what you are.
You all know who today's sponsor is, Skillshare. I initially joined Skillshare to take classes on video editing and then also found my video. 1. Introduction. In order to describe the Monroe Institute technique for achieving altered states of consciousness, the gateway experience
Hypnotism.
involving brain hemisphere synchronization
There's your black hole.
or hemisync, the most effective way to begin is to briefly profile the basic mechanics which underlay operation of related methods such as hypnosis, transcendental
Told you.
meditation, and biofeedback.
Mm-hmm. Hypnotize. I am God. How I look.
It is easiest to effectively describe what gateway is by beginning with a short description of those associated techniques that
You see the butterfly in the middle? That's Monarch. That's the Project Monarch. That's the Monarch butterfly that's in your brain. Look. Damn, you under mind control. Damn, I'm glad I put y'all in KevRow University. They under mind control. They under Monarch mind control. Under the...
share some
Never
common aspects with the gateway experience, but which are nevertheless different. In this way, we can develop a frame of reference at the outset, which will provide useful concepts to explain and understand gateway by comparison as we proceed. 5. Gateway and hemisync. Fundamentally, the gateway experience is a training system designed to bring enhanced strength, focus, and coherence to the amplitude and frequency of brainwave output between the left and right hemisphere.
Then why didn't it do nothing but destroy and beat down and fuck up my community?
So as to alter consciousness, moving it outside.
Gave all my people Greek gods in they left and right holographic memory. And Egyptian gods of the dead in their brain.
The physical sphere so as to ultimately escape even the restrictions of time and space. The participant then gains access to the various levels of intuitive knowledge which the universe offers.
That's why y'all be saying y'all worship the universe and the omnipresent and the press one. Y'all be going all the way up them ladders in the Masonic cult just to know this.
What differentiates the gateway experience from forms of meditation is its use of the hemisync technique, which is defined in a monograph by Monroe Institute trainer Melissa Jager as a state of consciousness defined when the EEG patterns of both hemispheres are simultaneously equal in amplitude and frequency. Although hemisync seems to be rather rare and of only short duration in ordinary human consciousness, Melissa Jager states that audio techniques developed by Bob Monroe can induce and sustain hemisync with the Institute's basic
Remember now, you were children
focus 3
in the delicate ages of when the mind begins to form. It makes sense of the world around him.
tapes. She also notes that studies conducted by Elmer and Alice Green at the Henniger Foundation have shown that a subject with 20 years of training in Zen meditation could consistently establish hemisync at will, sustaining it for over 15 minutes. Dr. Stuart Twemlow, a psychiatrist and research associate of the Monroe Institute, reports, "In our studies of the effect of the Monroe tape system on brainwaves, we have found that the tapes encourage the focusing of brain energy. It can be measured as with a light bulb in watts into a narrower and narrower frequency band. The focusing of energy is not unlike the yoga concept of one-pointedness, which we may translate in Western terms as single-mindedness. Dr. Twemlow goes on to observe that as the individual gets into the tapes beyond focus 3, there is a gradual increase in brainwave size, which is a measure of brain energy or power. 6. Lamp versus laser. Melissa Jaeger uses a metaphor to help clarify the process involved in the use of hemisync in the gateway experience. She points out that the human mind in its natural state may be likened to an ordinary lamp, which expands energy in the form of both heat and light, but in a chaotic, incoherent way, which diffuses its energy over a wide area of rather limited depth.
Order out of chaos. Mind control.
On the other hand, the human mind under the discipline of hemisync acts in the fashion of a laser beam, which produces a disciplined stream of light. The stream of energy is projected with total coherence of both frequency and amplitude, such that the surface area of a laser beam contains billions of times the concentrated energy found in a similar surface area on the sun. Gateway assumes that once the frequency
You know
and
why?
amplitude
Because
of the
it's
human
on
brain
the
are
sun.
rendered coherent, it is possible to begin accelerating both, so that the human
So the sun simulator will pretty much be laser designated, just like I said. Like that has to be like the light of Lucifer designated. Blah 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 blah.
mind is soon resonating at ever higher vibrational levels. The mind can then bring itself into synchronization with more sophisticated and rarefied energy levels in the universe. The mind, when operating at these increasingly rarefied levels, is assumed to be capable of processing the information thus received through the same fundamental matrix by which it makes sense of ordinary, physical, sensory input, to achieve meaning in a cognitive context. Such meaning is usually perceived visually in the form of symbols, but may also be perceived as astonishing flashes of holistic intuition or even in the form of scenarios involving both visual and oral perception. The mechanics by which the mind exercises the consciousness function will be addressed in more detail later in this paper.
Remember, it's all in the mind. All of it.
7. Frequency following response. To achieve synchronization of brain hemispheres, the hemisync
You see the depths they go into to control the mind.
Did you know that according to declassified documents, reality is actually a universal hologram? Cosmic consciousness is real. We live in an illusory matrix.
Okay, y'all hear this? They so sure. Why? Because they were told this. Pentagon babies versus babies, kids is real, nigga. I told this is the belief of the world. Listen.
Did you know that according to declassified documents, reality is actually a universal hologram? Cosmic consciousness is real. We live in an illusory matrix. Oh, and not only that, but you can prove it to yourself by leaving, by going out.
I'm sorry, y'all. There they go. By leaving and going out. Where? Into space. Using what? Your spirit. What the fuck is how I'm gonna do that? You gotta go through these steps of initiation and listen to the frequency so your spirit can come up out of you. Like if you was dead, but you're not really, you in control because it's gonna come back. What happened if my spirit don't come back? Well, it will come back, but what if I have fun outer space?
Of your physical body. All of that and so much more in this reading from the endlessly fascinating Declassified Gateway Process paper. By the way, if you're just stumbling across this is part 2 of a full read-through of this document. But trust me, you're going to want to hear this part in particular because we cover all of the above curiosities and more in pretty significant detail. It does get somewhat scientific and technical at times, but the payoff, philosophically and spiritually even, is just immense. Before we get into it, if you've been watching the channel, you know that I myself did a...
I don't know what they did in Guantanamo Bay. What I'm saying is that's bullshit. And what they did to black people in America was very subtle. It was done, and it was done in a way that was very hypnotic and in a way that made them look like they were doing it, all while they were sleeper fucking cells for psychiatrists who had early prepared them in elementary school and junior high school. That's who I'm looking for. Damn them people at Guantanamo Bay. You must be from the military, so you helped them do it, Chris Cook. Press 1 classroom. Now look at Chris Cook. He in the military. Press 1, which makes him a fraternal brother. Hit that like button and subscribe. So you think that, oh, this is what they were doing over there. No, nigga, what I'm saying, they did this to niggas with drugs. Your brain should be here. They did this in the 80s with Ice Cube movies and Harvey Weinstein. Press, what? They did this. Stop thinking of outside. You must be a Pentagon, baby. See? If you're a police officer, if your ass is in the military, your ass is a Pentagon, baby. Agent Smith, and that's what you are. You need to wake up. You think you on the good team? Sir, you think you human? Press 1 like in Terminator. Man, you are a machine designed to kill and destroy. Press 1. One thing. Destroy the baby's kids. But there was this great baby's kids prophecy. Press 1. No, don't run. Don't run. Your ass was over there at Guantanamo Bay. You was over there.
Gateway retreat at the Monroe Institute a few months back. I'm going to resist the urge to elaborate upon that here because I did a whole video on it in which I shared the experience. And I also cover the frankly unbelievable history of all of this. Why the CIA, why the intelligence community was interested in psi phenomena, consciousness, and everything this paper...
Because they had to distract that baby's kids and the 80s baby and their leader from developing outside construct like the word of God and having external faith and start believing in their own fate, in their own science, that they are the decision maker if they want to believe or not. If they don't want to do the Lord's work or the law, then not. It's just simple. The government knows. What was the government's main thing, black people? To stop the rise of the black Messiah. At what lengths do you think they will go through? Press 1.
Because I did a whole
Quit acting scary and think.
Video on it in which I shared the experience. And I also cover the frankly unbelievable history of all of this. Why the CIA, why the intelligence community was interested in psi phenomena, consciousness, and everything this paper covers, and more. And with that, my friends, let's get back into the document. But before I forget, do like, subscribe, comment, share. The algorithm must be fed. Picking up where we left off, brain stimulation, point 9 on page 6. Bentov's biomedical model shows that this resonance is of considerable importance since it is directly transmitted to and impacts upon the brain. The resulting vibration is received and transmitted into the brain itself via the fluid-filled third left ventricles located above the brainstem. An electromagnetic pulse is then generated, which stimulates the brain to raise the amplitude and frequency of brainwave output. Just as Dr. Tremlow observed in his research on the effects of the hemisync tapes, also, the brain is contained in a tight membrane called the dura, which is, in turn, cushioned by a thin layer of fluid located between it and the skull.
Look, they got us, bro.
As the coherent resonance produced by the human heart in a state of profound relaxation reaches the fluid layer surrounding the brain, it sets up a rhythmic pattern in which the brain moves up and down approximately 0.005 to 0.010 millimeters in a continuous pattern. The self-referencing character of resonant behavior accounts for the body's ability to sustain this movement despite the minimal level of energy involved. In this way, the entire body, based on its own micro-motion, functions as a tuned vibrational system, which transfers energy in a range between 6.8 and 7.5 hertz into the Earth's ionospheric cavity, which itself resonates at about 7 to 7.5 hertz. Of this process, Bentov states, quote, "This is occurring at a very long wavelength of about 40,000 kilometers, or just about the perimeter of the planet. In other words, the signal from the movement of our bodies will travel around the world in about 1/7 of a second through the electromagnetic field in which we are embedded. Such a long wavelength knows no obstacles, and its strength does not attenuate much over large distances. Naturally, it will go through just about anything: metal, concrete, water, and the fields making up our bodies. It is the ideal medium for conveying a telepathic signal. Consequently, the gateway process is designed to rather rapidly induce a state of profound calm within the nervous system and to significantly lower blood pressure, to cause the circulatory system, skeleton, and all other physical organ systems to begin vibrating coherently at about 7 to 7.5 cycles per second. The resulting resonance sets up a regular repetitive sound wave which propagates in consonance with the electrostatic field of the Earth. Okay, so once again, this point about brain stimulation, fascinating. I have questions. Seems like a lot of this is based off of speculation. Not that it's not plausible, but... So again, this quote, I'm pretty sure, comes from Stalking the Wild Pendulum by Bentov. It sounds familiar to me. I think in the book he does provide some more evidence for this, but still, this relationship between brainwaves and the electromagnetic field of the Earth is very, very interesting. Don't get me wrong, but I guess I would just love to see more evidence, or if this is something, again, that still holds up to...
Yeah, because they took that and became gods and said, oh, we control the Earth? Yeah, like the moon cycles, like that. So just praise the moon so that the Earth is healed.
To modern scientific scrutiny. All right, point 10, energy entrainment. As the body is turned into a coherent oscillator vibrating in harmony with the surrounding electrostatic medium, the specific exercises included in the gateway tapes enjoin the participant to build up the energy field surrounding the body, presumably by using energy from the Earth's field, which the body is now entraining because of its ability to resonate with it. This puts the body's energy field into homogeneity with the surrounding environment and promotes movement of the seat of consciousness in...
It's like, why all... You know what it's really saying? You know what I just heard? You know what I just heard? The reason why all you niggas walk alike when we in the hood. You trying to look like who? You. You trying to look and act like, when Nip said he trying to find somebody when they out gang banging and shit, and you looking for somebody to harm or do something bad to, you looking for a nigga who's like you. Walking like you, talking like you. It sounds awfully familiar to communicating with dead spirits. Well, if you're a Crip or a Pyru, is that what's happening when you're assuming the walk and the talk and start emulating the environment?
To me, I think in the book he does provide some more evidence for this, but still, this relationship between brainwaves and the electromagnetic field of the Earth is very, very interesting. Don't get me wrong, but I guess I would just love to see more evidence, or if this is something, again, that still holds up to modern scientific scrutiny. All right, point 10, energy entrainment. As the body is turned into a coherent oscillator vibrating in harmony with the surrounding electrostatic medium.
Told you. The music, while the body is in harmony, walking with the Buddha name.
The specific exercises included in the gateway tapes enjoin the... All right, point 10, energy entrainment. As the body is turned into a coherent oscillator vibrating in harmony with the surrounding electrostatic medium, the specific exercises included in the gateway tapes enjoin the participant to build up the energy fields.
Told you. So you up the street bump into a specific artist or listening to this one and that one, you're building up the they saying frequency that it would take for you to actually become that? And this is what gangbangers is caught in.
All right, point 10, energy entrainment. As the
Listen,
body is turned into a coherent oscillator vibrating in harmony with the surrounding electrostatic medium, the specific exercises included in the gateway tapes enjoin the participant to build up the energy field surrounding the body, presumably by using energy from the Earth's field, which the body is now in training because of its ability to resonate with it. This puts the body's energy field into homogeneity with the surrounding environment and promotes movement of the seat of consciousness into the surrounding environment,
the seat of the soul.
partly in response to the fact that the two electromagnetic mediums are now a single continuum. Thus, the same process which moves the
You start thinking that the hologram is real. You start thinking that that's you. That's your life. You start emulating the projection in the seat of the soul where the hologram is created. Damn. And you begin to think that you are Snoop Doggy Dogg, you Ice Cube, you this one. That's why they were done on those recording tapes, the music, and then the tracks.
brain into focused coherence at steadily higher levels of frequency and amplitude.
So you're
as to
emulating what the seat of your soul, your mind, where your soul is. Look at that. The seat of the soul becomes and starts emulating. And the body starts to begin to emulate what it believes to be its environment. What was probably, so if you can put it like that, you can put it like that. Niggas really being like, this is the worst deal you can ever have. That psychologically, and then your environment is this, well, you're going to act accordingly. They have it down to a science. Press 1.
brain analogous frequencies in the universe for data collection also promotes enhancement of bodily energy levels to a point adequate
You change the frequency. You want a different outcome.
to permit the subject to experience an out-of-body movement when he is ready to do so. More will be said about this topic later. In addition, by resonating with the Earth's electromagnetic sphere, the body creates a surprisingly powerful carrier wave to assist the mind in communication activity with other human minds similarly tuned. Again, I come away from this point with similar feelings to point 9. And don't get me wrong, I'm not necessarily questioning anything specifically in terms of like if the method works. I guess I'm just questioning how they jump to these conclusions about the relationship between brainwaves, the electromagnetic field of the Earth, and consciousness. All right, point 11, consciousness and energy. Before our explanation can proceed any further, it is essential to define the mechanism by which the human mind exercises the function known as consciousness, and to describe the way in which that consciousness operates to deduce meaning from the stimuli which it receives. To do this, we will first consider the fundamental character of the material world in which we have our physical existence in order to accurately perceive the raw stuff with which our consciousness must work. The first point which needs to be made is that the two terms, matter and energy, tend to be misleading if taken to indicate two distinctly different states of existence in the physical world that we know. Indeed, if the term matter is taken to mean solid substance as opposed to energy, which is understood to mean a force of some sort, then the use of the former is entirely misleading. Science now knows that both the electrons which spin in the energy field located around the nucleus of the atom and the nucleus itself are made up of nothing more than oscillating energy grids.
Damn. Grid program, more oscillating energy grids, more niggas caught in the grid, fucked up in the gateway to hell, or the highway, whichever you want. All of it is mind control, though. And all of it was done in the early. They're making it cool with all these 3D effects and all of this stuff. But it's really what they did to the African American male was insane.
Tonight, two Canadians who feel the past 20 years of their lives were damaged by the CIA tell their stories publicly for the first time. They believe they were part of a CIA project called MK Ultra.
You was too. You do know that, right? It's with Ice Cube, your favorite stars, who are emulating their gods. And that's who have control over you. Ice Cube. And the hip hop stars of the dead.
CIA document from the 1980s.
You don't get it.
With this only grew stronger, leading to a shadowy mission in 1983, where additional officers were sent to the Monroe Institute with the intent.
I had to remember, like, you got to know all this to even understand how the Black Holocaust even happened. How our people was put into a false sense, a scientifical, mental asylum-like ran community.
Open your eyes and notice a particular color.
It's always this. It's always this.
Here.
It's always these people and their acceptance to it. But we had no idea. I don't know what the parents knew.
And they were bringing me back in time, way back. At one point I almost felt like I was just about to be born, really, that far back in memory. And they were really probing, asking all kinds of questions, and I felt I didn't have any control. I had to answer. I didn't feel I had any control. I was completely, like they had complete control over me.
Mrs. Huard, like the others, was forced to pay for the so-called treatment.
Yeah, but I don't think it's this type of treatment. That's what's up. The real treatment, the real case studies are in the hood. Like in the movie They Clone Tyrone. That's why we are affected by this. And that's why we're caught and trapped in trauma. You know why? Because it's a psychological program that you were never released from and told about. So you're in it. And your children has been in it. Hello? Look, our professor, just mimic. As you said during both of your lives, They Clone Tyrone show and the Russian scientist show about the grid and mind control program. I'm so glad you understood that, Karen. God bless you, because I don't got long. I got to get off the internet. I'm so hungry. I got to eat something. This has just been in my head, and I realized, like, a lot of people want to know how I how I went through my trauma and healed from a lot of different situations, and what am I into and how, because man, you know, damn, you know, knowing all this stuff. How do I know all this stuff? How? I didn't graduate no school. I couldn't in the gate program. How could I be in that? That's for gifted people. That's for y'all. That's for y'all who had A's and B's. For me, the gifted program came in the street. That's how I can relate to those who was taken advantage of in the GATE program. The very intelligent who always seen something wrong. You know what I'm saying? All right, whatever they went into, but those who were rejected by that never really wanted to get into too much. Just wanted a simple life. That's cool and got this as a degree or whatever. Those type of people I can relate to. No. How don't I got memory of when I was a child? I don't know. You know, I can say that I lived in the same district. Everybody from my school, elementary school, went to the same junior high school. So me being a child, walking to school early mornings, that's crazy. before the sun even came up in elementary, to get to Shirley Avenue Elementary is insane to me because I didn't go to Shirley Avenue Elementary. I went to Hyde Park Elementary, and I went to Horseman where everybody else got shipped to. With everybody else, and my friends is right there. They still around. But then there's the Shirley Avenue Elementary, and the Sutter Junior High School is like, what the fuck shit is that? And Mrs. Lingle and I don't know. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Somebody can help me with that type of shit because that's not supposed to be. I understand going to multiple schools per semester, but you don't do elementary and junior high school in South LA in the same district. Then go do elementary and junior high school 2 hours away in Winnetka, in fucking Woodland Hills and shit. That's crazy. But that's the adventure that I'm on. I'm like, how I'm inside my mind remembering different things. But above all that I gotta remember is we are 80s babies, and we grew up in that time where you had test tube babies, you had people being tested on, you had drugs, you had drugs being induced, and parents losing their kids like it was nothing, starting the CPS programs around them like that. Like where they said CPS was kidnapping kids, well, that was the perfect time in 1980 all the way up in that time because that's when it was like, damn. So if anybody else out there had that type of experience as a child to where they remember two different elementaries and two different junior high schools, you just let me know and talk about that because that's what adventure that I'm on in my personal life. KevRow University. Shout out to the few people who do contribute to my shows. God bless y'all and try to bring y'all this. But yeah, MK Universal Mind Control deals with the music. Everybody else got subsidized and taken advantage of, but they got paid because this is open. But they never got to you. What happened to you? They can't admit that they put the drugs in your community and then took you to prison, destroying Adam. They can't say that because that's big. That's big. They can't say this is why those people was drugged out. This is why the riots kicked off. Those were our boys. They were drugged out. They were taught that. KevRow University. If y'all like to contribute to this page, go to my Cash App. My cash tag is Gills Gang. I'm going to try my best to come back online. I'm just extremely hungry and thirsty. And as always, family,